Okay, let's unpack this. For decades, traditional schooling has operated on this one basic idea
Right.
that learning is passive. You just sit there, you read, you listen, and then you repeat it back.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've ever crammed for a test and then, I don't know, a week later that information is just gone.
Which is everyone.
Exactly. Then you know that method is just fundamentally broken.
It is.
Right.
And we're often led to believe that, if we struggle to hold on to knowledge, the problem is us.
That I'm not smart enough or I didn't try hard enough.
Right. That it's about intelligence or dedication. Our deep dive today is, well, it's a radical departure from that entire way of thinking.
We're looking at research that really pulls back the curtain on techniques used by, elite performers.
We're talking memory champions, specialized military unit.
These are methods that treat learning not as some academic exercise, but as a neurological process, a change process.
The mission here is to show you how to step outside those old, outdated methods and instead start using these specific psychological and neurological hacks to make learning faster, deeper.
And permanent, or at least nearly permanent.
That's the goal. The core question is this: how do we flip the neurological switch and turn all that input into a genuine knowledge superpower?
Okay, so let's start with something that feels, honestly, pretty counterintuitive, especially for anyone who's afraid of failure.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The breakthrough power of making mistakes. It's about the difference between just memorizing for a test
Which is so fleeting.
and true mastery, which requires the information to become, sticky.
And the research is so clear on this. Your mental approach to error, to getting things wrong, is maybe the single biggest factor that determines if knowledge sticks.
So it's all about mindset.
It is. There was a famous Stanford study, I think from 2007. It looked at how our beliefs about intelligence actually changed our brain activity right at the moment we made a mistake.
Okay, so what was the difference? How does what I believe about myself change how my brain actually works when I mess up?
It's a huge difference.
Uh-huh.
Stark. They found that people with a growth mindset—
Meaning they believe they can get smarter, they can improve.
Exactly. They showed what the study called longer neural engagement after errors. So when they got something wrong, their brain didn't just shut down. It literally stayed present with the discomfort.
Which is the opposite of what most of us do, right? We kind of retreat into that fixed mindset.
We do. We think, oh, I got that wrong. I must just be bad at this.
Right.
And those people, the ones with the fixed mindset, their brains showed actual disconnection after a mistake. The error was just proof of a flaw, so the brain basically said, all right, time to quit.
But here's the neurochemical part that's so fascinating.
This is the hack. Making a mistake triggers this cocktail of two key chemicals.
Acetylcholine and norepinephrine. We hear those terms a lot. What exactly are they doing in this moment, in this learning moment?
They're absolutely essential. So norepinephrine is all about alertness, focus, a heightened state of arousal.
It's like a shot of espresso for your brain.
A good way to put it, yeah. And then acetylcholine is a major player in neuroplasticity.
The actual rewiring of the brain.
The physical ability of your brain to reorganize and form new connections. So the mistake is like this giant neural alarm bell.
Okay.
Your brain releases these chemicals, and it's basically shouting, high alert, something unexpected happened here. Focus now and get ready to cement whatever comes next.
So it makes your brain more open to change, to rewiring itself in that exact moment.
Your neuroplasticity spikes.
Yeah.
So if you're, say, learning a new language or a complex bit of code, and you feel that wave of frustration,
That, I messed up again feeling.
yes, you have to reframe that feeling. It is not a signal to quit. It's proof that your brain is fired up and ready to learn.
It's a green light, not a red one.
It's the ultimate green light. If you push through that brief discomfort, you are literally learning faster and deeper than if you had gotten it right the first time.
That changes everything about how to approach failure. So we embrace mistakes. But what about before we even start, before we open the book? How do we prime the brain for maximum focus?
Now we're getting into state-dependent learning.
Right. You don't learn well when you're bored or passive. You learn when you're in a peak state, when you're alert.
And this leads us directly to a technique used by special operations units for cognitive priming.
Okay.
The method is to intentionally create a small burst from the sympathetic nervous system.
A little bit of that fight or flight response.
A tiny bit.
Yeah.
And then immediately use your breathing to drop into that calm, super focused, parasympathetic state.
But why the initial jolt? Why not just start calm?
Because that intense movement signals to your brain that this task is important. It's high stakes. It requires energy and alertness. If you just sit down calmly, your brain might just register it as low stakes, low reward.
So you're creating the energy you're about to channel. What does this protocol actually look like for someone, studying at home?
It's a quick 3-part sequence. First, 1 to 2 minutes of intense movement.
And you mean intense.
I mean burpees, air squats, running up the stairs, your heart rate needs to spike. No negotiating on that.
Okay, got it. Part 2.
Immediately, you switch to 3 minutes of deep breathing. Slow everything down. Long inhales, long exhales. This forces that shift from high alert back to calm focus.
So we've generated the energy and now we've channeled it. What's the last piece?
Affirmations. While you're in that calm, focused state, you speak your learning affirmation out loud, maybe 10, 20 times.
So you say it and you hear it.
Exactly. Something like, today I am sharp, I am focused, and I retain everything I learn.
I can really see how that physical intensity, followed by the calm, followed by that stated intention, that's got to create a unique neurological state.
It does. You've just created a powerful surge of dopamine, norepinephrine, and acetylcholine.
The holy trinity for learning.
That's it. Dopamine for motivation, norepinephrine for alertness, and acetylcholine to optimize that neuroplastic change. You've put your brain in the perfect high alert, high reward state for absorbing information.
So that's the prep. The stage is set. But what about after the information comes in? How do we lock it down so it doesn't just leak out an hour later?
This is all about encoding. And the source material is very, very clear on this. The answer is to teach it.
Right away.
Right away. Not tomorrow, not later tonight, right after you learn it.
And this is called the retrieval effect.
Absolutely. It is one of the most powerful things you can possibly do. Because when you force yourself to teach the material, your brain has to do 3 critical things all at once.
Okay, what are they?
First, you have to retrieve it from short-term memory. Second, you have to organize it into some kind of logical, coherent story.
And third,
You have to translate it. You have to put it into your own words, simplify it, create analogies for your imaginary audience.
that translation part seems like the key. We all think we know something until we try to explain it out loud.
That is the magic of it. Teaching immediately shows you where the gaps are. If you start to fumble or you just repeat the textbook's phrasing,
And you don't really get it yet.
you know exactly where your comprehension breaks down and you can go right back to it.
But let's be practical. I don't always have someone sitting around ready for a lecture on, quantum physics.
You don't need a real person. The act of teaching is what matters, not the audience.
So just talk to the wall.
Talk to the wall, your cat, your couch. Go through the motions. The neuroscience shows that by doing this, you are stacking 3 incredibly powerful memory enhancers.
And what are those 3?
Active recall, self-generated elaboration, and contextual encoding.
Okay, break this down.
Active recall is just pulling the info out without looking at your notes. Self-generated elaboration is that translation piece, making connections to what you already know.
And contextual encoding, what's that?
That's when you link the new information to your environment, to the feeling, to the act of speaking and moving. It creates this rich web of sensory data around the memory, making it so much stronger than just reading words on a page.
Okay, so we've learned it, we've taught it. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake we all make.
Cramming.
The enemy of real learning.
My whole college experience was just a long lesson in the inefficiency of cramming. We have to use the spacing effect, and we have to prioritize sleep.
We have to understand that learning isn't a one-time event. It's a process of integration. There was a UC San Diego study in 2012 on spaced repetition that found it doesn't just help you remember more.
What else does it do?
It physically alters the structure of your hippocampus.
You're kidding. We're literally talking about rewiring your brain.
Yes. Spacing out your learning encourages your brain to build thicker, more stable connections over time. And this is crucial, the part that actually locks it in, the synaptic consolidation that happens when you're asleep.
Not when you're staring at the book.
Not when you're awake. Sleep is when the hard work gets done. So give us the roadmap. What does a neurologically optimized spaced repetition protocol actually look like?
Okay, it's a 3-day cycle to start. Day 1, 30 to 45 minutes of pure 100% focused learning.
Phone in another room, priming protocol done, total focus.
Total focus. Immediately after, you teach it or you quiz yourself. Then, that night, a good quality night of sleep is non-negotiable.
All right, the knowledge gets hardwired overnight. What about day 2?
Day 2, you hit it twice. In the morning, a brief, low-stakes review. 10, 15 minutes, just read your notes, talk it out loud, remind your brain of the context.
And in the afternoon?
In the afternoon or evening, you quiz yourself cold.
No notes.
No notes. It's
Yeah.
so important. Maybe use a tool like ChatGPT. Ask it to generate 20 questions from your material.
Yeah.
You have to force that retrieval pathway to fire on its own.
Okay, and what about the final consolidation on day 3?
Day 3, you teach it again to someone else or to your empty room. By this point, you should be retrieving and organizing it with much more ease. That process turns shallow roots into deeply anchored knowledge.
And speaking of sleep, there was a bonus tip in the source material that just sounded like a massive cheat code.
It is the ultimate productivity hack. Immediately after a focused learning session, take a 10 to 20-minute nap, or even just a focused meditation.
Right after.
Right after, researchers found the hippocampus starts consolidating new memories during that immediate rest window. You're giving your brain the quiet time it needs to file away what you just told it was important.
That's a huge mental shift from the old idea of just powering through until you're exhausted.
Totally.
Okay, let's talk about mental glue. All these methods are amazing, but raw repetition can still be exhausting. If our memory isn't the problem, but our methods are, what's the final strategy? The shortcut.
We need to use mnemonic associations. You don't need a better memory, you just need a better filing system.
A trick.
A trick. It's about linking new abstract information to something you already know and can picture. Something visual or silly or emotionally charged. Your brain is built to remember patterns, and especially things that are novel and weird.
So we take the abstract concept and we make it concrete and maybe a little ridiculous.
The more ridiculous, the better. For example, to remember latitude versus longitude, you can picture latitude lines running left to right like the rungs of a ladder climbing up the globe.
I like that. That's a good one.
Or my personal favorite, to remember that the hippocampus is responsible for memory.
Oh, I know this one.
You visualize a giant hippo on campus. Maybe it's sitting in the library reading flashcards.
That image is unforgettable. But why does the bizarre imagery work so much better than just linking to normal things?
Because your brain perceives novelty as a time-slowing event. When something is really weird or unexpected, your brain ramps up its processing intensity.
Like how a week-long vacation feels longer than a routine week at work.
Exactly. The novelty of the vacation means your brain is processing so many more distinct new events. We're just leveraging that same intensity for memory.
So with a mnemonic, we're stacking the meaning, which is semantic encoding, with that vivid image, visual imagery.
It's a double win for your memory. And the weirder you make the image, the more your brain flags it as important and worth remembering.
Turn the abstract into the absurdly familiar.
That's the mental glue.
So what does this all mean for you, the person listening? I think the core conclusion from this deep dive is that your memory is probably fine. It's perfect.
It's the methods you've been taught that are the problem. They were designed for short-term recall, not for the kind of permanent neurological change your brain is actually capable of.
Right.
But now you have 5 distinct neurologically backed strategies you can use immediately. Adopt that growth mindset and embrace your mistakes.
Use the priming protocol to get into that high alert learning state.
Lock in the information by teaching it. The retrieval effect.
Use proper spacing and sleep cycles.
And build that mental glue with vivid, weird mnemonic associations.
This is basically a total operating system upgrade for how you learn.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, since we established that the brain loves novelty so much that it actually makes time feel slower, here's a final thought.
Go for it.
Consider applying that idea beyond just studying. Start introducing radical novelty into your daily routines. And just observe how your entire sense of time, your engagement, and your focus begins to change throughout your day.